Hi everyone, I am Eguriase S Okaka. Today we are going to look at a very special topic. The topic is dressing. I know that in our everyday life we dress to one place or another. In this case, we are going to see many things about dressing. One, what is the appropriate way of dressing? What is the purpose of dressing? What is a bad dressing? After the end of this program, I assure you that you will get one or two lessons. The discussion is didactic in nature, so I want you to listen carefully and get the message we are trying to pass across. Now, what is dressing? Dressing is the cloth we put on or the cloth we wear in order that we might cover our nakedness or to prevent cold and the harsh weather condition. If we look from this definition, we find out that dressing has two purposes or more than. One is to cover our nakedness, while the second one is to prevent the harsh weather condition. Let us find out about the origin of dressing. Dressing originated from the Garden of Eden, when Adam and Eve sewn themselves fig leaves to make for themselves apron to cover their nakedness. The reason why they did so was that when they saw themselves nakedness, the picture they saw was not palatable to them. So that is why they sewn themselves fig leaves in order to cover their nakedness, and that is dressing. So the purpose of dressing is to cover one nakedness. Any dressing that anybody puts on and that dress does not cover your nakedness is metaphorically termed as a bad dressing. Why a good dressing is that dress that covers one's nakedness. So the purpose of any dress that we put on is this: to cover our nakedness. When somebody dresses and he or she, for example, dresses in a way that the nakedness of such a person is exposed, then we can say that such dressing is a bad dressing. But on the other hand, if a person dress and you find out that you are covering the vital parts of your body, or your dress covers the vital part of your body, and you are not exposed to the public, then we can term that as a good dressing. So a bad dressing is that dressing that exposes your nakedness. The reason for dressing is that we should cover our nakedness. Sadly enough, there are different ways of dressing in the society today that gives the young youth or children bad examples of dressing, like what we see in the social media. It is not a good example of dressing, because the young ones are growing up to see women, men exposing their body in the social media, and they tend to think that what they see is a good standard of dressing. If you look at the entertainment world, the fashion design industry, you'll find out that many styles of dressings are there which are exposing the human body, and people tend to think that this is a good standard of dressing. In no time will we have no good dressing in the society anymore. Tell me, what good thing can your words learn from people, men and women, who are exposing themselves in the internet? Tell me, what good thing will they learn from those exposing themselves in the streets? If we are fair to ourselves, we are not learning any good thing. We are only tapping from corruption. We are only tapping from indecent dressing. And when we grow up with that, it will not be good for us. If you want to go for an interview, will you as a lady put on a bum shirt? If you do that, you already know that the panel of judges will not accept your application. So therefore, there is a standard of dressing to everybody, and there is the fact that we have bad dressing and we have good dressing in our society. Few years ago, when you talk of pornography, people will say, oh, you are talking of a bad thing. Now we have pornographic dressing, and we see that in the society every day. And people are beginning to learn this part, that it is the standard of dressing. I do not know what will become of man in the very near future if we continue dressing this way. Now, dress the way you should be addressed. If you dress like a thief, someone will call you a thief. There is no two way about it. If you dress like a whore, somebody will definitely call you an harlot. There is no two way about that. If you dress like a madman, somebody will definitely call you a madman. Quite some time ago, I heard of a story where a young man was taking his bath in the bedroom, and a madman who was passing by happened to see him and went to the bedroom and dragged the towel away. Instead of our young man to remain inside the bedroom, he jumped out and started running after this young man. So those who saw them made their conclusion and said, "Look at these two mad men." Why? Because they were naked, running in the street. And that is the kind of unpalatable dressings that we see every day in the society. There are many cases in this point. The men, they have few cases where their dressing become offensive, but the female folks, they believe that they have a commodity to sell, hence they are dressing in a way which exposes such commodity that they have to sell. That is why we are looking at this aspect of dressing, not to encourage it, but to disabuse it, so that we can have a good standard of dressing in this society. Like I said before, I said if we look at most of these dressings exposing of the body, we do not have any good thing to learn. What we have to learn is called perverseness, and it is the perverseness of the act that makes a person to dress exposing him or herself in the public. The men hardly have bad way of dressing, because most of their clothes always cover them up, except in some few cases where some bad boys may want to dress badly in the society. That is where you find out that they are exposing themselves. Some men want to say, because I have six pack, let other people see it. When you do that deliberately, when you do that, whether you are doing it deliberately or not, it is a bad way of dressing. That boils down to the fact that you are dressing in order to expose your body. And when you dress to expose your body, it is a bad dressing. But for the females, I think you can, if you put 10 females here, 9 may be dressing badly, because 9 will tend to expose themselves, which is very, very bad. Dress the way you should be addressed. It now boils down to the fact that every parent in the society should call their children and teach them good standard of dressing. Good standard of dressing is any dress you put on to cover your nakedness. If a dress does not cover your nakedness, then it is already and metaphorically a bad dressing. If we do not have a good standard of dressing in the society today, not that there are no good standard of dressing, they are, but they are very few. While the many standards of dressing that we can find in our society today are bad dressings, which I do not advise anyone to learn from. Now it boils down to the responsibility of individual parents in the society to call their children, to call their boys, to call their girls, and teach them a good way of dressing. If you look at the beginning of this talk, you find out that I said that any dressing which peradventure did not cover a person, that dressing is a bad dressing. So now, let parents teach their children how to dress, so that we can have good standard of dressing in the society. We see people who dress and say, yes, this is a good dress. At least everybody likes to dress corporately. Everybody likes to dress in a way that you will be addressed. Like, for instance, that is why you find out that many corporate organizations have their uniforms, yet which each member of staff put on. One reason why they do this is to control the way of dressing. In our own various families, what we shall do is this: sit your children down, teach them good dressing, and make sure that when they dress, it covers their nakedness. If it does not, then it is a bad dressing. I am Eguriase S Okaka. You can call me Uncle Guria. Until we meet same time, rather sometime very soon on this platform, I say bye for now.